Let's
Let's
talk
talk
OD.
OD. My name is Destiny Alpha.
And my name is Erica Papa Martinez. While we're here, overdose and substance use disorder are urgent public health issues, especially among young adults. Despite the growing numbers, stigma and silence still polarize conversations. Our aim is to spark empathy-driven awareness and bring evidence-based education to Baylor students, because we believe that change starts with conversation.
The silence is deadly. More than 1 in 7 young adults struggle with a substance abuse disorder. Most will never seek help due to stigma, misinformation, or fear. Opioid overdoses in Texas have increased significantly, especially among the collegiate population. Without awareness and early intervention, students are at risk of losing their futures or their lives. Like I said, my name is Destiny Alpha, and I am a health science studies student who's currently on the pre-med track. This story is important to me because as I work in EMS currently, there's many people who currently undergo overdose or some kind of substance abuse, and this number has been increasing significantly over a period of time.
And I'm a neuroscience major on the pre-med track. Due to familial experience, I've personally come across the negative impact of substance use disorder. And recently, within my major, I have gained a focus on affective neuroscience, where I have come to better understand addiction on a neurophysiological level.
Each of us have been personally impacted by addiction. As future health professionals, we understand that the importance of passionate care and informed advocacy. This project is both personal and professional. It allows us to break the stigma, build awareness, and prepare ourselves to serve our communities.
Our audience, students between the ages of 18 to 25, are statistically amongst the most vulnerable. That's why we have chosen this audience specifically. Pressures from academics, social expectations, and mental health struggles can lead to experimentation and addiction. At Baylor University, a faith-based institution, our approach integrates science, faith, and compassion to reach peers where they are.
So what exactly is our goals for this project? One is to break the stigma. We want to educate our peers about a substance abuse disorder and overdose prevention using science-based research. Two, build awareness. By making campus more visible and more accessible, it makes people more aware of what it is. And three, save lives. Shifting the campus culture to one that is empathetic and proactive can help save those who are in current need.
Substance use disorder is a disease, not a moral failing. This is a quote by the National Institute on Drug Abuse that best encompasses the empathy approach we use in order to shift our community's perspective from one of judgment to one of compassion.
More people ages 18 to 25 die from unintentional overdose than from a car accident. This is from the CDC, and this is important because as of recently, the second most common cause of death used to be some kind of traumatic injury like a car accident. However, over the past few years, with more drugs coming into the system that don't have a proper background, it has caused more overdoses than planned.
So what's stopping us? Some of the barriers to awareness that we are facing in our communities are the fear of being labeled as addicted or broken. There are also still misunderstandings about addiction being a choice, a lack of education among peers and faculty on how to recognize substance use disorder. And finally, but also very important to keep in mind, there's still shame and guilt that may prevent students from seeking help they need the most.
So, what exactly should you look for symptoms-wise for a substance abuse disorder? And while there's many, some of the four most common ones are changes in behavior, mood and appearance, a loss of interest in academic or social life, lying, stealing, or risky behaviors, and withdrawal symptoms such as sweating, tremors, or agitation when not using. However, all this can lead to more serious issues if you continue to have withdrawal symptoms called delirium tremens, which is a more serious medical emergency. So what exactly goes on inside the brain of an addiction? And we're going to kind of look at the neurophysiology of a substance abuse disorder for a few minutes. And first, we're going to look at our little brain image where it has the little purple circles. And this is the ventral striatum. It is the corticostriatal circuit at the hub and the gate that which motivates translation into actions. And reward memories are stored between its inputs and outputs.
As we mentioned earlier, misunderstandings about addiction being a choice are stopping us in our communities to help those suffering from substance use disorder. So let's take a look at the cycle of addiction to better illustrate such misunderstanding. There are three main circuits in the brain, with the corticostriatal circuit being most closely associated with substance use disorder. Those with substance use disorder present trait markers or genetic predisposition to dysfunctional VS activity, which causes a mismatch between liking and wanting. In other words, they are more vulnerable to addiction. The cycle of addiction begins with the initial drug use, where there is a strong release of dopamine, where attention is potentiated by the nucleus basalis of Maynard. This is a natural response in the formation of reward memories for living beings to identify cues with substance use memories being hyperpotentiated reward memories. This allows for a secondary reinforcer to be enough to produce motivation. When substance use disorder subjects go through the anticipation or craving phase, their VS shows hyperactivity or increased wanting in comparison to a healthy subject. Yet, when they go through the outcome or intoxication phase, their VS shows hypoactivity or decreased liking from the actual consumption, as both their ventral pallidum and ventral striatum release endogenous opioids, leading to a feeling of euphoria integrated by the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. This then leads to binging, in which there is another repeated use of the substance that increases over time. Due to the disruption of the ventral striatum's dopamine signaling as a self-preservation response, this builds tolerance. Upon the prolonged absence of drug use that causes a persistent anhedonic state comes the withdrawal phase. Here, due to the reduced sensitivity of the VP as a homeostatic regulation response, those with SUD not only have a reduced effect from the substance causing craving, but also are unable to experience enjoyment in previously enjoyed activities, which leads back to the craving phase, as there is a desire for dopamine release.
It's important to note, though, that you are not alone. There's many on and off-campus resources for people to utilize. Some of these here at Baylor include the Baylor Counseling Center, our Baylor Health and Advocacy Services for Alcohol and Drug Education, and the Beauchamps Addiction Recovery Service, known as the BARC. There's also very many national helpline, local recovery programs, and emergency Narcan stations that give out free Narcan, and it's being proposed for more campuses to bring awareness. So kind of going into it, our first call to action was to make a website. We titled Let's Talk OD, and here at Let's Talk OD, we went into kind of our campaign and what we wanted to do and how we want to support people. We looked at on and off campus communities and resources that people could utilize. We also went into our works, which covered different blog posts about this YouTube video that soon be posted, our Google form, and our presentation. There's also links for substance abuse hotlines, which includes the nearest emergency rooms here in Waco, national hotlines, and Texas located hotlines. There's also a contact page, so if you're interested in getting in contact with us, whether it's about questions about substance abuse disorder or reaching out so you have help.
As our next call to action, we have Real Talk, Real Students. To Baylor HOSA, we had the opportunity to have a peer-led presentation where we were able to combine facts with personal stories. As well, we were able to have an interactive Q&A to address some myths and concerns regarding substance abuse disorder and OD. There was the opportunity to make this a safe space for conversation and not confrontation for students to feel comfortable to ask all the questions they had and better educate our population.
Another thing we did is to read to understand. This is a book that's actually even Baylor utilized, and his book chosen to build empathy and knowledge for promotion through our libraries. Some of these books included Beautiful Boy by David Sheaf, and A Realm of Hungry Ghosts by Gaber Maite, and Clean by David Sheaf.
With the understanding that language shapes stigma, we have our final call to action where we implemented the Dictionary project. This project allows for there to be a shift in the college population's connotation of substance use disorder and overdose, through replacing judgmental language with medically accurate and respectful terms. Instead of saying addict, let's say person with SUD. Junkie becomes individual in crisis. And a more truthful term for clean is in recovery.
So before our PowerPoint meeting, we had a QR code up and we had our pre and post evaluation results. So let's first look at our pre-evaluation results. So first we asked the students, what kind of these resources have you previously heard of? And the most common one was the on-campus resource of Beauchamps. Some of the other common ones were the care counseling services and online services that everyone can utilize with insurance were slightly common but not as common, with this including BetterHelp. And then 4.4% of students never heard of any of these before. We had 21.5% of our population who has never heard the difference between a substance abuse and an overdose. And then finally, 32.9% of students did not know what Narcan was and how to properly use it safely.
In our post-evaluation, the results point towards a powerful tool that education can be in raising awareness. Our results showed that education was able to significantly increase the knowledge of the participants in the survey. We can see an increase in the resources that they felt comfortable with knowing of. We also saw an increase with them knowing the difference between substance abuse disorder and overdose. And finally, our participants feel more comfortable being aware of what Narcan is and how to properly use it by the post-evaluation results.
If you are interested in filling out our Google form, please scan this QR code below to kind of give your input on what you think. Knowing that, let's talk OD.
Let's keep talking. The conversations we have started don't end here. Every student deserves to feel seen, supported, and safe. Addiction is not a character flaw, and recovery is possible. Together, we can reshape campus culture through compassion, prevention, and healing.
Knowing all that, let's keep talking together. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope to hear back from y'all and give your input on what you think about addiction.